and welcome to Frantic and Wobbles. I'm Frantic.
And I'm Wobbles.
And we read the silliest fanfiction the internet has to offer. And today, we are joined by friend of the show and special guest and amazing editor, Biodegradable.
Hello.
I went through all the adjectives.
You did. And I was like, when are you going to get to the intro?
I had to throw them all in
It's
there.
just a mystery.
It's a mystery.
You're never going to say who it is. You're just going to keep complimenting him.
So, today, Bio has found a surprise for us.
Yes.
It sounds like something very exciting.
I'm pumped.
Right, me too.
All right, Bio, do you want to introduce your piece that you found?
I recently got into playing Doom Community once, and playing Doom-made maps from fans and that. So I've been a part of the community for 2 weeks now, and there was a thread where we were talking about people who had written exceedingly bad takes about Doom, and somebody brought up what I'm going to read today. They show that that nothing would ever beat whatever the hell this is.
Oh no.
I love this.
This sounds wonderful.
I'm so...
Yeah, that's about as all the context you're going to get for this, because I don't know when it was written. Like I said, I was able to find a post of the same thing as early as 2003. I don't know if it was written with the author's tongue firmly planted in their cheek, or they were dead serious. But it's written in such verbose insanity, I can't help but think it's just a big joke.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, that's valid.
And we've read things that were totally written in tongue-in-cheek on this show.
Intentionally silly.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
So it is right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bio, when you're ready, take it away.
All right. I will now read to you Hurt Me Plenty, The Vagina Dentata of Doom by Ashley Pomeroy.
Oh, no!
Oh, okay.
Oh, no!
Oh, God. All right, I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Doom was and remains a spiritual game, a sensation which bypasses the rational mind to pierce the heart and loins. To play Doom is to become a nothing, to occupy a chair, not moving, not blinking, aware of motion and of killing and of void, a static progression of sound and fury. Doom was a refinement of Gauntlet, Atari's 1985 arcade hit. Gauntlet was viewed from a slightly inclined top-down perspective, and was resolutely set in the timeless fantasy era of the Conan films. Both games took place in a series of maze-like environments. Both games featured a wide range of opponents, each with different attributes and methods of attack, and furthermore, both games came alive when played by 4 people simultaneously. Doom possessed a quality Gauntlet definitely did not exhibit, a quality stemming from its realism and from its first-person perspective. Playing Gauntlet, one was constantly aware that one was directing a character, more so when one was playing with other people. In contrast, the multiplayer networks that ran 4-player Doom could be spread across a building, the players never meeting. Whilst Gauntlet...
Okay, I have to say something really quick.
Whilst Gauntlet...
I know nothing about Doom. So, like, this is all, like... This is just what the game is going to be in my head now.
All I can think of is the fact that this is just a first-person shooter where you shoot, like...
Constant.
8-bit characters.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like, wow, this is a really intricate, beautiful game. And I'm like, wait. But yeah, no, I'm listening to this and I'm like, how is this game this old? It sounds wonderful and fleshed out and beautiful.
Meanwhile, there was so is this was there a Doom game since the 1980s Doom game?
The first Doom was made in 1993. They're making a...
Was it 93?
Yeah, they're comparing it to an older game. Like this thing starts off mildly boring, but gets weirder as it goes along. I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, right now it sounds like they're just kind of setting the stage.
Yeah.
They're setting the mood
Yep.
Let's see now.
about a 1990s game.
Yep.
Okay.
The multiplayer networks that ran 4-player Doom could be spread across a building, the players never meeting, whilst Gauntlet required 4 people to crowd around a small cabinet. Doom instead created a state for which there is no word. I use the term unbecomingness. Most computer games involve and immerse the player in an imaginary world, where the player assumes the role of an imaginary character. This is not unbecomingness, however. It is merely the subsumation of one identity. They made up a word there. The player's real-world persona with that of another player, in brackets, the player character's other word persona. I think it's supposed to be world. There's all sorts of spelling errors and typos in this thing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
I will try to just say them as they come, rather than correcting them in my own head, as I tend to do.
If there's a word that's spelled particularly beautifully,
Yeah.
go ahead and spell it out.
Yeah. In contrast, Doom shares a characteristic with many early computer games in that the player character does not exist, or is so barely sketched as to be immaterial. Although the player assumes the role of a space marine, this space marine exists purely as a series of primal grunts issued at moments of great stress. Although human, the space marine is no more expressive than the monsters he fights. The environment, meanwhile, is overpoweringly evocative, a literal bloodbath, an oxygenated medium. Doom is a symphony of annihilation, for the game's primary characteristic is obliteration. Obliteration of the enemy, of the player, and of the player's self. The archetypal in-game situation finds the player opening a door on a large room filled with monsters, all of whom immediately attack. There is no requirement for the player to destroy all monsters, as the object of the game is to attack. Escape from the bowels of hell, yet a variety of subtle cues. The player is constantly armed, the monsters never retreat, violent heavy metal music plays throughout. Ensure that there is no question in the player's mind of what must be done and to whom. Throughout history, countless soldiers have been ordered to take care of prisoners. You know what to do, being the most common formulation, and Doom is no exception. The player knows. The player knows what to do, even if the game does not explicitly say so. And the doing is good. Doom's sensory assault creates a state of unbecomingness in the player. From moment to moment, all that exists are the monsters, the ongoing chatter of the chain gun, the periodic boom of the shotgun, the amplified sensation of movement, and that is the extent of the player's world. There is no thought or mind, there is no sex, no urge to visit the toilet or to ejaculate. The player's body becomes merely a shelf upon which the player's eyes and hands rest.
So this is legit just like a first-person shooter where you see nothing except like whatever weapon maybe? If they have one? I don't know. I've never played Doom.
Of course, this unbecomingness is in itself a form of becomingness, for the removal of life's complexities produces a state akin to that of a surfer, the mountain climber, the drug user, or the bricklayer. The goal of all men is the amplification of the moment until it obliterates memory and temporality. I'm pretty sure that's not a word. A state usually achieved through music, food, or television. The audience wants to be transported into a similar state of nothingness, thus achieving a glimpse into the undiscovered country of death itself, the infinity of zero. Doom is a game in which the player, by creating death, experiences it from the inside.
What a millennial kind of take on this.
I can't even decide if this is positive or negative. Is this a good thing? Who knows?
Doom is also a powerfully erotic game. Notwithstanding the numbing of the physical self, it is mentally erotic, capturing the release of control at the height of orgasm, the constant stimulation of eternal death-making. Doom bathes and is bathed in sex, from the sated groans and cries of dying soldiers and dying creatures to the gentle, substantial thud of mortally wounded demons falling to the floor, to the organic, ejaculatory sound of flesh rupturing into the oblivion of an explosion.
Oh my god. So this kind of gives you a little glimpse into what this person's fetish might be.
I know, I'm not here to kink shame, but...
I don't know about you, but this is not my idea of a fun time, so...
Doom captures the eroticism of the slaughterhouse. Many people have fantasies of being killed, of killing oneself whilst at the height of orgasm, or of killing a partner during sex. Many people are...
How many people are fantasizing about this?
Is this person a praying mantis?
Should I be worried?
I've only just skimmed this, so a lot of this is new to me as well. Holy shit.
It's been a long time since I've been on the dating scene, but I'm not sure I want to go back now.
Many people achieve release by killing animals in order to experience the release and relaxation of the death orgasm. Doom's killing...
relaxation.
Doom's killing act as constant stimulation, the unremitting intensity of nightmare mode, creating a sensation similar to that of greatly extended masturbation, a mixture of hopeless anxiety, horror, and release, the sexual organs requiring greater and greater stimulation to achieve a dread orgasm of painful intensity.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
Doom is a male space. The player is invariably male for obvious reasons. Of the monsters, only the comical cacodemons seem obviously female.
Okay.
Their ungainly, ill-formed, gaseous nature and leering, slavering mouths characteristic of the female species?
The female species. Oh my god.
The other creatures are powerfully muscular or obviously male. And Doom's erotic power stems from the unrestrained physicality epitomized by violent homosexual intercourse.
What? Oh my god!
Whoa! We just took a left turn,
Right? I was not expecting that one.
Men are not easily capable of multiple satisfying orgasms, each one lesser than the last, and thus homosexual sex must be extraordinarily intense in order to make the most of the moment. Doom's amplification of imaginable horror fits this pattern. With the addition that there is no real orgasm, even onto the final level of the episode. Death is the end, the ultimate, the one and only, But the death of the player in Doom is treated merely as a pause, a tap to the spacebar, restarting the level, although the player would be wiser reloading an earlier saved game. One of Doom's
Okay.
One of Doom's
Okay.
One of Doom's innovations was the fact that the corpses of vanquished monsters do not vanish, either immediately or over a period of time. They remain in place, monuments to the player's conquests, lying peacefully on the floor, drenched in blood, in many cases opening their legs to the player.
Oh my god.
A side
Oh,
effect
no.
of Doom's graphic engine ensures that static sprites always offer one face to the player.
Oh my god.
Just as the moon always faces the earth.
Oh my god.
Fluid plays a major part in Doom's gameplay, each monster producing large quantities of it during death. Whilst other fluids harm the player. That none of
Other
the-
fluids.
That none of these fluids are obviously seminal is telling, although very few fluids in real life have the texture and consistency of semen. Doom is a game that denies reality, set as it is in a fantasy world. The presence of blue water seems jarring in the midst of hellish insanity. That's not the only insanity going on here. And thus,
I know, really.
and thus, the absence of semen was quite obviously a conscious decision on the part of the programs of censorship reasons. What?
Do they think that when people die, they just like explode semen everywhere?
The same reason for the lack of visible genitalia of the obviously naked monsters. Although, having said that, as the monsters seem optimized for combat, it is entirely possible that their genitals are hidden, like that of a dolphin or a zebra.
Or a zebra.
Or a zebra.
I wasn't aware that zebras suck their penises back into their bodies before they fight off a praying leopard or something.
I mean, they
Technically?
sort of, but not really. Not in the way that like a dolphin does. Being horse people, we know a little too familiar with the anatomy of equine creatures.
I will be, after we've recorded this, I will be asking you many questions on the finer nuances of horse genitals.
Oh my god! Oh, we should describe sheath cleaning to him one day.
Oh my god. Ruin Bio's day.
You'll never want to eat beans again.
I don't eat beans now.
You're not a bean fan?
I don't know. I've never had them.
You've never had beans?
Which beans are we
they're so
talking
good.
about? Like baked beans or green beans?
Either what? Well, mostly baked beans or like black beans
Yeah.
or like kidney beans.
Never had them.
You've never had like a taco with beans in it?
No,
or like,
no.
oh my god.
You're missing out on a key source of protein.
It's like a staple.
Americans and their beans.
Americans and their beans.
Okay. The player is represented throughout the game by the aforementioned grunts, a pained facial expression in the status bar, and a centrally placed weapon, most typically a pump-action shotgun with an infinitely large magazine. Not true. But if it's a pump-action shotgun, it doesn't have a magazine. This person knows nothing about guns.
I know nothing about guns either, so
It would
it sounds okay to me.
It would have been easy for the programmers to symbolize sexuality with these most obvious sexual symbols. And it is to their credit that they avoid sexualizing the weapons, or at least the majority of them. When the player picks up the chainsaw for the first time, an instruction to find some meat appears on the screen. Yet the chainsaw does not penetrate the enemy, it merely strokes the enemy, brushes their skin.
Ooh.
It has a woman's touch.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever heard anybody describe a chainsaw as having a woman's touch.
We continue. The chainsaw is the purest of all of Doom's weapons. Whilst the majority of the game's weapons are neutral, the player choosing to use them or not as the situation demands, the chainsaw is a pervasive force of itself. Its very appearance and manner are inducement to violence, even in situations where the chainsaw is tactically inadvisable. The player is tempted to apply it. Am I? Even in situations where there are no obvious monsters. What? Its constant, low-level buzz promises violence to come, purring and roaring like a newborn child. What?
What? This person doesn't know what children sound like, apparently.
It is not a cyclic weapon,
Oh my god.
but it does not run out. Notwithstanding the in-game lack of petrol. As in real life, Doom's chainsaw is a constant, never-ending stream of wailing death, of blood and torture. An individual tool repositioned as a combat weapon, taken from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead 2. Indeed, as with underground horror and hardcore pornography, the optimal medium of experiencing Doom would, if possible, be that of a video, of a fourth-generation video copy of a Dutch print dubbed into French with a tacked-on production credit and no ending credits. I don't know what they're saying at this point.
You're just rambling.
Yeah. That so many subsequent upgrades and patches for Doom have concentrated on making the game look even better seems to miss the point. Doom is a dirty game. Dirty, dirty girl. Like so many pleasurable things. Sex, prolonged defecation, eating, mummification, Mork and Mindy. Doom is tacky and shameful, but knowing with it. In this respect, its most obvious follow-up was a competing product, Duke Nukem 3D, a game less focused on the act of killing and enlivens with obvious references and indeed dialogue samples from the films which inspired Doom. In Duke, the player was encouraged to identify with the title character, a macho, sexist boar, a mistake which Doom did not make. It was not the machismo or the boorishness that was the mistake, but the fact that this path was obviously chosen for the player in advance. In Doom, the player is carefully drawn to the path of violence in such a way that he believes himself to have chosen the path willingly, and that at any time he could have backed out, but he chose not to. One lesson of history is that people rebel against authority, but can be made to do terrible, glorious things if they imagined that the choice was theirs. It is, therefore, the goal of authority to indirectly direct the people to make the right decision. Yet, the most enduring choices, the easiest to make, are those forced by biological necessity. No one would choose to spit if there was a simpler way to remove the taste of metal, and fundamentally, very few people choose to die. Yet people do die, and people kill. Our minds are at the mercy of our bodies. Doom is a game of pure mind, a game that makes the body irrelevant. Doom is the ultimate choice, a potent mixture of erotic power and violent action, a path which draws the player on, a path which cannot be taken.
Oh my goodness.
What the fuck did we just listen to?
This person takes this game very seriously.
All because there's no, like, main character for you to, like, have to deal with. It's just, like, first person.
Yeah.
So you can be the character, and now they've made it about everything?
There's a lot of sex in there that isn't actually in the game. I would think.
The game is just like...
It's literally just like a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah, you just shoot shit that comes at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run around levels
But-
and you kill demons, that's it.
They're reading a lot more into this than they
There's-
need to.
It reminds me of when, like, English teachers are like, what did the author mean by this? And you have to, like,
Right?
come up with...
Sometimes the curtains are just fucking blue.
Sometimes they're blue!
Like,
Sometimes it's just a first-person shooter.
right? Sometimes you're just shooting things because you want to shoot things. It doesn't have to be an innuendo.
My
Oh my
working
God.
theory for this thing's existence is that it is a parody of the typical kind of really angry, sexless feminist writer who took a piece of media and read way too much into it. That's my working theory. But
It does sound a lot like
Yeah.
that, yes.
but this did come from the internet, and the internet is stranger than fiction. So
True, and there are a lot of
this could
interesting
I
people
think
on the
this
internet.
could have been easily written in jest in the form of a feminist paper parody, or it's 100% legit. But
And there's no way to know.
but I think its biggest giveaway is its ridiculous use of language. There's so much it's very verbose in the way it brings forth its argument, that I think that's the biggest giveaway, that it's probably fiction, that it's a parody.
Yeah.
But either way, this was just so insane, I knew I had to share it with you.
Well, we appreciated it.
Yeah, I appreciate... Like, I was so engrossed in
I
it.
know. I was like, I don't want to say anything because I want to hear what happened.
It's so engrossing. It's ridiculous.
Right?
Oh my god.
What a story.
What a nightmare. What must it be like to live in the brain of this person? Like, if this is real.
I feel bad for their spouse.
Yeah.
Whatever partners they may have, I feel so bad for them.
And at the end of the day, I still can't decide if this is pro-Doom or anti-Doom.
Right?
I have no idea.
Right? Who knows?
I have no idea.
It feels anti to me.
Yeah, it kind of like sometimes I feel like they're kind
Because
of like
it suggests that it turns the player into a mindless sex fiend. It's weird.
yeah, but they also kind of describe it as being like an escape and like something that you want. So I don't know. Maybe
It
I don't know.
suggests that it uses escapism, but unlike, say, with anything else, it transforms you into something bad.
Okay, I can see that.
I can see it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but even if it's written as like an anti-Doom thing, they spent a lot of time playing this game.
No, they didn't.
They must
This
have.
is written from the
No, you don't think
this is
so?
written from the perspective of someone who's never played it at all. From my
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, as somebody who has also never played it, I don't know what the game is actually like. So
What, you've never seen what classic Doom looks like?
no, I've never.
I know what it looks like very vaguely.
I think I've seen like an ad for it somewhere, and that's all I know.
I know it's like a classic.
Oh yeah, I've heard like stuff about it, but I don't know if I've seen anything.
And then they recently made a new
Two
one.
new ones.
Yeah, I saw the new. Yeah, I saw there was one that just came out.
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, the same time as.
3 years.
I watched
What's it
someone
called?
play
3
that, and it looks cool.
Yeah, 3 years after Doom 2016, and that was like the first new Doom in like nearly a decade.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. So how many have there been now?
Doom 2, Doom 3, and then Doom 2016, and then Doom Eternal, with huge gaps in between.
Okay, so
Okay, so it's
five.
But there was an 8
Yeah.
8-year gap between Doom 2 and Doom 3.
Oh wow. Yeah, and if the one was 1993 was the one was released.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a big franchise.
Yeah, really.
And this person wrote the weirdest shit about this franchise.
Oh my god.
That was great. I loved that.
Me too.
I loved that so much.
You tell from the title that it was going to be great.
I know. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, okay. I'm about.
I love how you two basically practically wet yourselves after I said it, and I knew that we were going to have fun.
This is-
Right?
It was a good time.
It was a very good time. I'm like still processing what I just heard.
Right? Oh my god. Well, you read that way better than I would have ever read that. So thank you for reading to us, Bio.
My pleasure.
Franny gets a little monotone sometimes.
Look, I can't read, so you can't expect me to be able to be expressive and not be able to read.
Okay. There have been times when you're supposed to yell something, and every time it's monotone, and we say no, do it again, and then you do it monotone again.
Yeah.
We say no, do it again, and monotone again.
In which case, I take all three of those no's and I stack them on top of each other in the post edit.
And it's still monotone.
I know, it's great. All right. Thank you for reading to us, Bio.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, that was great.
What a nice bedtime story.
That was beautiful. All right. This has been Frantic and Wobbles.
Yeah.
Join us next time for more bullshit. And as always, we're sorry.
Not this time. Not this time.